Hello, my friend. How are you, Jen?
Hello. I'm doing so good.
Good.
I'm feeling so good today. So I'm super excited for our call.
I'm
Um,
super excited for our call as well.
yes, I've come with some challenges.
Oh, good, good. Well, I'm so excited, and I appreciate you doing this for us and for the community. You have done our beginners course, our next level course. So you have had calls with me. So this is not your first, but
Right.
we just wanted to give people an idea of what it is that we do here at Target 100 and how we talk to one another. Honestly, what is the special sauce of what we do. So thank you for
Yeah,
being vulnerable enough to let me coach you in front of people.
no problem. I'm happy to open up. I mean, it helps me too. Obviously, this is a personal one-on-one coaching call. So I'm going to be giving you real challenges that I'm struggling with right now.
Great. Well, just give me a little background, right? Just tell me what you've achieved so far and
Sure.
right, just a tiny bit of background.
Yeah, just a little background from the Target 100 perspective. I joined your beginner course last April, and I think is it 8 or 10 weeks? I can't recall what the
10 weeks.
beginner one is.
Yeah.
10. So, yeah, that was the big one. So, 10 weeks of classes. And of course, I read the book, and we met once a week and had different challenges. And then we kind of were on our own for the summer
Mhm.
because I think we started in April. We were on our own for the summer, which I did very well in the summer. And then you reached out to some select panel to test your new app platform that's going to be releasing soon. And so I had the opportunity to join again and do another beginners round in the fall. So we wrapped that up, I think, kind of right around the holidays. And then I heard about the next level, and here we are. I'm in the middle of that course right now, and it's definitely more in depth. We're kind of like digging deeper into what's really going on because
Right.
I'm
That's what I always
deciding
say.
like, yeah,
If
figuring
this
out it's
was
not
just
just
about
about,
food, right? If it was
yeah,
just
oh my
about
gosh,
food, it would be
I
great.
wish
Yeah.
food would be the
And
best thing.
you've lost a good amount of weight.
I have, yeah, I lost 50 pounds, and which is fantastic. I think,
Fantastic.
yeah, and it's on one of my challenges, so we'll get to it a little bit later, but
And I am
yeah,
taking notes like I always do, guys. I always like to
perfect.
take notes for you and send them to you after. So I'm taking those. So
Yes, and I have my pen and paper here too, because if anyone is who's watching this, if you get a one-on-one coaching call, make sure you have something to write it down with. You just get so many nuggets like right off the cuff that it's so great. You're going to want to
Great.
be prepared.
Ah. So that's great. So down 50 pounds, you're inundated, you really like know this program inside and out.
Yeah.
And tell me about where you are hitting any kind of a challenge or any kind of a wall right now.
Sure. I wrote down a few things, and this is something, it's just ironic that you reached out to me about this one-to-one coaching call because I'd been already keeping a list for the call that I was going to get with the next level program. So I've got that list right in front of me.
Hey.
I would say, honestly, the biggest challenge for me right now is, and I don't know if you want to explain to any watchers what a set point is, but I've reached somewhere in my weight loss journey here where my body's very comfortable.
Mm.
And now, granted, I've gained 50 pounds or lost 50 pounds, but I had gained 50 pounds in the course of probably 3 years. I put on a little bit right before the pandemic, and then we kind of all know what happened for 2020 and 2021, but 2021, I took it off. So that's fine. But so I was already like outside of my comfort with that 50 pounds on me. So now I've got that off, and I'm
Mm.
back to what I told Coach Ashanti the other day, where I was. So I almost feel like I'm starting over, if that makes
Mm.
sense. Like I'm
Yeah.
starting, my body feels like it's starting from square one, and I'm having a tough time getting myself off the ground again.
Mhm.
Um, I'm comfortable here. My body's a little bit, I feel complacent.
Yeah.
So some of those old habits that I unraveled are starting to going back in the ball again. And I'm like, okay, no, we loosened you up. You're like out of here.
Well,
You were
this
long
is
gone.
fabulous. This is so interesting, right? Because what you're expressing is that you're at sort of a set point. Some people call it a plateau, right? And I
Mhm.
always have that very positive spin on the fact that you are not gaining weight, you are staying, you have
You are
maintained,
right.
you're doing maintenance, and
I
that is
am.
amazing.
Yeah,
So
it
no
is.
matter what, to me, we go, okay, so that means when we lose another 10, 20, 25, whatever it is that you want to lose, that we know how to maintain it. So this is all the
Exactly.
good news. A set point for anybody who's never heard of this is a place where you have been before, right? A weight that perhaps, or an area where you have spent a lot of time, where your body has settled before. Your body remembers those. Okay, so this is like almost like a muscle memory of like you get to that certain weight, and then it's a little bit hard to break through that weight. We love set points though, right? We love set points because it's hard to break down through them, but it's also hard to break up through them. So you can get away with a little bit more
You're
party
right.
time when you're around a set point.
Yeah.
And what happens, so I wrote down three things here and I want to ask you, so set points or plateaus or wherever we are, they are these sticky little spots. They are usually a combination of three things. They are mental, they are physical, and they are emotional. So I want to kind of hit those three spots with you so
Yeah.
that we can really identify those behaviors. So let's just start with like the mentality piece around this. You kind of started to go there already with like I'm comfortable here.
Mhm.
I'm complete. Did you use the word complacent? I don't
I
want to put
did.
words in your
Yeah.
mouth, but I
Yes, I
felt like
did. I
that's
used
the word.
complacent. I absolutely feel complacent here. This is a weight, within 5 to 10 pounds, a weight that I was at for many years. So, you're exactly right. My body feels comfortable here. Not only does it feel comfortable here, most of my wardrobe is this size.
Oh,
So it, ironically enough, like I feel like I'm back to my old self.
that's
But when
wonderful.
I, yeah, it is. Parts of it is great. That part of it is great. But then I think about the parts of my old self where I was so unhappy with where I was size wise. And of course, now it's not so much as size. I'm really, because we're talking probably a decade ago where I was just, in my 30s and living life, loving it. And now I'm in my 40s, late 40s, and my biggest concern is health.
Yeah.
I want to get my health in check. It's not as much about the weight range I land at. It's what does my blood work look like?
Mhm.
How do my joints feel? Things like that, where, I mean, I'm heading into this, and we know as women, it's tough to lose weight as you
Yeah.
get a little bit older and our hormones start changing. So I'm kind of in this place now where it's not as much about losing weight and looking great in a bathing suit. It's feeling great
Mhm.
and being
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah, that's
So,
that 24/7 that we talk about, right?
mhm,
Where your entire your day-to-day experience in your body is a good one. Instead of that,
right.
like, oh, I have to be a size 4, right? Like that, those feelings they fade a little bit as we get older and our priorities change.
Mhm,
The problem is that so as humans, we do need motivation and mental clarity in order to achieve goals. We need clarity, right? And so, being very focused on and figuring out what that next goal is for you and why you want to achieve it and putting some real vision around it, I think is going to be important. What we know from and I know this from being in research, unfortunately, we don't connect well with our health, with health goals as our weight loss driver, because you can't feel your A1C rising or your cholesterol rising, right?
right.
But you can feel your pants getting tighter.
Absolutely.
So
So
I mean,
true.
behind the curtain at all of these research projects over the years, from Lifetime Fitness to Weight Watchers, majorly funded research, and we would interview people, and we would tell them, like, if we told you that your health was, really going to be affected, and we'd say yes, and they would go home and they would take no action because we can't connect. to the things inside of us that are breaking down when we are. So it may be that as a motivator is wonderful, but as a day-to-day motivator, we might want to think about other things for you.
Right. That
So
makes perfect sense because, I get my blood work done twice a year. I mean, I don't know if anyone has seen any other interviews with me before, but I do have rheumatoid arthritis. It was diagnosed in 2019. So very depressed at that point in my life, gained, a lot of weight. Then the pandemic hit. So that didn't help any. So I'm kind of like getting back to a baseline. And so I get my blood work done twice a year. So I do see the numbers, but like you said, I don't know from day to day, are my inflammation numbers high today or low today?
right, like when you're
Who knows?
standing there deciding about the Reese's peanut butter cup, like you're not like, oh, but my inflammation numbers might be up 6 months from now, right?
If you ask my rheumatologist, he would say, don't even think about eating that peanut butter cup because you're going to become inflamed within 24 hours.
Yeah. So I think we want to kind of think about maybe bringing those things into a spot where we touch base with some mental clarity around this goal, around your next step.
Yeah.
And really getting that down. So let's think about that. And oftentimes people go a little too far with their next step, and they go, oh, I want to lose this next X. I find people do much better with very small goals in front of them. So, I'm kind of thinking about like getting us to 2 pounds below the lowest weight you've ever seen.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, this is funny because you mean the lowest weight like ever or in my
No, but
adult
I
life?
mean recently.
Recently. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
in
good.
this
Because
weight.
we're talking about 50 pounds.
Yeah, no, in this weight loss, right? So you've kind of been
Yes.
plateauing in this area, right? This
Yes, I
five
have.
pounds or so area.
Yep.
It-
Yep.
there's that lowest weight you ever saw in this weight loss, right?
Got it. Yes.
I want you to aim for 2 pounds below that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all we're going to
Yep.
do. We're going to make this action plan around that, and what that will do for you. So weight loss, like I've done it so many times in my life, and there is a high to seeing a new low. There is
Oh, for
something that
sure.
just ignites us, and for us to be honest about that and to be like, okay, that will get you motivated to continue. But when we stay in an area for a really long time, our motivation starts to go like wah, wah, wah. And I want to fire you up again. Like that's
Yeah.
my main purpose in life, is to like just keep you fired up so you can achieve those goals. So mentally, it feels like maybe, yes, you got to this place, and this is very normal. I just need you to know, to lose 50 pounds and to rest for a while is very normal and is actually extremely healthy.
Good. That's great to hear. And I get that. I really do. This time I kind of get that. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not gaining weight. Yeah, it might be 1 or 2 pounds, a fluctuation up and down, but I mean, we gain weight all throughout the day.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that part of it's been very comfortable. And I mean, hello, let's clap. I made it to the holidays and didn't gain 1 pound.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you lost weight during
Right.
COVID. Like, you know what I
I
mean?
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm feeling good about all of that. But to your point, I am in that stage right now where I'm, I feel stuck in the mud a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And so mentally that's where we're at, right? And what happens is motivation starts to wane, and we start to have sort of limiting beliefs around our capacity or our capabilities. Did you start to feel that happen?
Oh, yes, definitely. I talked a little bit about it at our last class where it's just that mean voice is coming back and just saying to me, like, we knew you couldn't go any farther. This is where you're always going to be. It's just going to be this weight or higher. You're going to gain your weight back. You might as well eat that snack.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, I mean, it's just crazy how quick your mind turns on you
Yeah.
when you're on a roll with something healthy. I just feel like, and I have shut this voice down so many times. So I'm really proud of my reactions to the voice because a lot of times I win.
Yay. Tell me
Sometimes
about
she
it.
does,
Yeah.
but we're really, we're one and the same. So that's
Mhm.
where I have to kind of remember that that voice is me too. So I think Meredith in our group was one of the people to give you the suggestion of like, comfort that voice with love and
Yeah.
compassion. And because she's hurt too. Like,
Mhm.
it's just, she's been in me a long time. We've been carrying each other along.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was really great advice from her. And I think about that several times a day when I hear chatter going on.
Oh, good. I just with the fact that you can identify the chatter, I think is we're already just like 90% of the way there, right? And the
Yeah.
fact that you're talking back to her even 95% of the way there. And just understanding, we're always all trying to be so vulnerable and real. And like I have her every day. I hear something so nasty in my brain about me, or whether it's my parenting skills or my body or what I've not done for my job, or how I'm a this, that, or the other loser, whatever it is. And I try to explain this to you guys. This is a part of, our physiology, right? Is
Yeah.
to keep us safe and to drive that negative voice. I wrote down a question here. I always talk about the negative or the mean girl having like a volume switch. And there are certain things that turn the volume down on her for me personally, like exercise. Just I don't exercise, right? I know we can't outrun our fork. But when on a day that I exercise, she's like an eighth the size of what she is when I don't. Do you have certain things that turn the volume down on her?
Yeah, I do. Anytime that I get to get outside and like go for a walk. So I haven't, and exercise is on my list tonight for challenges because I'm getting curious about that
Yeah.
pillar. I have not hit that pillar yet for a few different reasons, but yes, getting outside, going for a walk definitely kind of just gets me out of everything, out of the house into a different scene. Yeah, so that definitely helps. Meditation actually really helps.
Mhm.
Um, and I've been trying to like pick my pen up and put pen to paper and just journal it out, which honestly is a very uncomfortable. I don't know if anybody else has done this before that's listening, but a lot, you don't expect what's coming out sometimes, and it can get, we just don't want to deal with our emotions. They're buried in there. You
Mhm.
don't know why maybe you're doing something, and then you're triggered
Yeah.
by whatever it could be. And I think that like getting it on paper and releasing it is so helpful in turning that volume down. And I almost feel like lighter
Yeah.
after I do it.
Yeah.
So it's a habit I'm trying to create. I did 2 different journal entries last week. So I'm
Wonderful.
trying to build on that a little bit. But like I said,
Right.
it's something I had been avoiding earlier. But
Mhm.
I'm trying, I did that a lot when I first started your program in April last year. And I got away from it a little bit, but I just think there's more to go.
Okay. So what I want us to do is really think about a week in your life, okay? Because there's mental, there's physical, and there's emotional
Yep.
reasons. And we're touching on the mental and the emotional here with some tools that really work for you. When we're trying to break through a plateau or a set point, what we have to do is like really go into the backpack of tools that we have and be very specific and very targeted and very um planned about how we're going to do 2 journal entries next week. Each week
Yeah.
I'm going to do 2 journal entries, right? Like it's not gonna be up for grabs. It's not going to be when I feel like it, right?
Right.
So a lot of us get tripped up in the when I feel like it or I don't feel like it right. So I'm going to be very specific with you about the things that will move you forward, right? So I think 2 journal entries a week. Are you meditating daily for 10 minutes, or is it kind of
Yeah, you know what? My meditation, I've gotten a little off schedule with it, to be honest. And I think that's part of the problem. I'm just not setting aside that time like I was in the morning. I'm just getting up and really within a half an hour starting my work day because I'm working from home. So I'm losing out on that every day. And it's something that I'm ready to get back into. But I would say on average, I meditate probably minimum 3 times a week, 4 is probably my max.
Okay.
So I'm getting it in there. It's just not consistent like it was.
Love it. So, and then are you getting outside daily?
Oh, I'm trying.
Okay.
And I live in Michigan, so we're
Yes.
just now getting today it was 50 degrees. It was pouring rain, but I did get outside.
Yeah. I
So
love it.
yeah,
I love it.
it's
I'm
happening.
so okay. It's beautiful. So I've been very specific here. And then as we look
Mhm.
at our weekly planner, we can kind of say, okay, I got to find 2 times I'm going to journal, right? And these are these pieces that we talk about a lot with like integrity, right? I'm going to do this because I know that this is part of what's holding me back. And if I do this twice a week and I repeatedly do it twice a week, it becomes comfortable. And you learn, and I think I want everyone to learn that our emotions are transient. And we have often, if we've held weight issues for a while, it's because we have buried those emotions under food. And when they come up, we've eaten around them, right? So we don't feel them. So now when you're journaling and you're feeling them, they feel intense and you
Yeah,
may
they
not
do.
even know what they are, right? Like you're like, I can't quite tell, is this anxiety, fear, sadness, like all the little gradations of things if we have used food the way I know I did. So you're probably getting to know some of this that you associate with discomfort is actually these are just feelings that we haven't allowed ourselves to feel. And the practice of meditation and journaling together, so meditation teaches you to sit in the moment, right? And take in all the stuff, take in the physical, take in the mental, take in the emotional, and realize that you're sitting in it and nothing's happening, like, right? So I
Yes.
think really hearing these 3 things, and when I asked you what makes that mean girl get quieter, you had it right away. You were like, bam, 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 get outside,
Mhm.
journal, meditate. Whew.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to layer those things in. So I put 2 journals, 3 to 4 morning time meditations back on the planner, and get outside every day, for 10 or 15 minutes at the very least. Okay, so
Right.
that's big. Um,
Yeah, I'll be amping that up. Like I said, I had a coach, I had a call with Coach Ashanti, and we kind of have a plan for getting on my bike outside.
great.
We're going to be getting it out of storage here in the next week or so. So I'm really
Okay,
excited so
awesome.
that'll be a good part of the
Awesome.
plan.
Okay. Well, and I
But
have to get you back into the believing mode.
yeah.
Right, the believing that you can accomplish this and that this is
Mhm.
worth it. And because what happens for people when they don't really, when they're sort of feeling like I'm okay where I am, then there's no like, hey, I'm not going to have that snack, or I'm not going to,
Right.
right? So it becomes that we have just enough extra food, or just too few steps, or just a little too little water, that we stay the same.
Yeah.
And it's not that we need some giant overhaul, but it's more about like, okay, I'm going to press myself for that extra 5 minutes of the walk, or I am going to pull my bike out of storage. I am going to, you've heard me say it, I'm going to pull back that 4 o'clock snack that got somehow
Yes.
turned into a meal. I don't know how this meal is now happening at 4 o'clock, so none of us stays where we are all the time, but we can return to a place where weight loss happens and you believe in it, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, that's what I love about your program, Liz, because you've coached me to this point where I'm at right now, where I've doubled my daily steps through this ticking up of numbers. And instead of, I know we talked about this a few weeks ago, but I was trying to add 1,000 every week or every day. So like one day I might be 6,000 every day. And then the next week I'm like, oh, my goal is 7,000. You're like, why would you do that to yourself? And I kept saying like, I can't get there. And you're like, well, just do 200 more a day. And it really did help. I know it's hard to be patient, but anybody who is even thinking about doing something different, I just invite them to your program so much, because you really do have to throw away all of the old knowledge that you had around dieting and exercise, and behavior changes over time is where it's at. I mean, it truly is.
Well, and understanding that we regress, right? You had your
Yep.
meditation practice in check, and then it kind of floats away. And we then have to very with awareness place it back in front of us. And we kind of go like, oh, why do I have to do this again? I had this. And then we want to beat ourselves up, and it's just all good. It's all good,
Right.
especially when you can be as clear as you are right now around what it is, the behaviors. What I hear in you is that you understand the behaviors that, and these are you not once did you have you said to me, like, I need to like do a cleanse, right? Like,
Right.
no, no,
But I've thought about it because
of
I'm at
course,
that weird
of
like
course.
stage right now where I'm like, okay, well, no, now's the time. Okay, this isn't working anymore.
Yeah,
She's talking. She's
yeah.
like, okay,
So
well, my coworker just sent me, and this is true. This week,
yeah.
my coworker was like, oh, I'm on a 5-day cleanse. And I thought, oh my goodness. No, I'm not doing it. And no, shade to anybody who's tried
No,
that.
but
It's
it's
just
fine.
I've tried it all
Yes,
and it
yes, I have
always
a
comes
wheel.
back. So
Well,
cleanses for me now are just for something totally different. I'm having maybe digestive issues or things
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
It's a health reason
yeah,
and not a weight loss reason. So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, so
but
this is where I always talk to somebody who's at a point like this. I always ask you, just tell me what a perfect day, and I hate the word perfect, what a great day in the world of Jen would look like in a weight loss mode, right? In
yes.
the weight loss mode from the time you wake up, let's just walk through it because you know what it is, right? And when I hear
Mhm.
somebody say, like, oh, I thought about a cleanse, which is human and natural when you are kind of like, oh, that's how my brain all used to work. Like we teach you in the course, we show you that diet mentality loop and how,
Yes.
then you get to that spot and you think, okay, well, I'll do something again, I'll do something else. And then I'll go into this cycle where for a minute it works and then it stops working. And then when it stops working, I start beating myself up. So I start eating, then I have the guilt and shame, and then I go looking for the next thing. Right. And Target 100 is
Absolutely.
trying to remove all of that for you. What I'm trying to empower you with is that you know what it is. You know exactly what a day looks like. So I just want you to walk me through it. What time to get up? What do you do? Do you meditate? Then you eat breakfast? Then just really high level, bing,
Yeah.
bang, boom. What's a perfect day? Which if you strung a few of them together, would break you right through this plateau.
No, I know it would. And it's things that I can do today, honestly. So I would get up when my alarm goes off at 6:30 instead of snoozing 3 times and getting up at 7.
Okay,
So
great.
that's for sure. So getting up, and I do love a right from the get-go meditation. I think that there's something about starting your day in that quiet space where you get some clarity or maybe even release. I've had some emotional meditations in the mornings too, or maybe you're just releasing something that you don't even know what you're releasing, but it just comes out.
Well, and this is like a little known fact, and we share it with you in the course. But for anybody who's watching, after you wake up, when you wake up from sleep, you are detoxed. So sleep is a natural detox that takes place, and one of the biggest detoxes that takes place is the brain in the brain. What we lose a lot of the extra inflammation in between the brain cells, and so there's space and clarity at that time of day unlike any other time of day because you all those brain cells have all this room to roam and be like totally in alignment with your truth. So I'm not surprised at all that you would find that meditating first thing in the morning is very powerful.
Yeah. And I even want to go a step further than that. And when I say first thing, I mean truly like maybe if you have to go to the restroom, go, but get up and meditate because I've noticed if I do too many things, even if I go to get a drink of water and that turns into the cat's meowing and needs food, and that turns into like you just lose that time. So it's amazing how it slips away from you. And before you know it, you've been up a half hour and that just pivotal time is lost that you could. I mean, it's all meditating is good, but it's just there's something special about that time. So yeah, it's right off the cuff. So meditate. um I'm going to put journaling in there honestly right after meditation because that's my favorite time to journal.
Right.
It seems to pour out of me at that time.
Mhm.
um so after that, okay, so I'm going on a non-work day.
Okay, great.
So this is like a weekend, because I still want to maintain that schedule. I don't want to throw it off too
Mhm,
too
mhm.
much. So still the 6:30 wake up. I'm gonna go for a 15-minute walk in the fresh air.
Mhm.
I'm going to come back and have a glass of water, make some coffee, and maybe have a nice conversation with my husband, and then make some breakfast. So I'm kind of a later breakfast eater. I do still love a breakfast, but I'm finding I don't need it right when I wake up anymore. It's
Okay,
really closer to like a 9:30, 10 o'clock thing for me.
great.
So often I will have fasted for about
Yeah.
14 hours before I get food in me.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, have a nice breakfast. And we probably would just like plan our day. So we do go for a drive at the lake because we live by the Lake Michigan. Maybe get out, walk around, and maybe plan some fun activities together. We like to go to the beach. I mean, some things we like to do on the weekends are beach, camping, um, strolling through a new town along the lake shore,
Mhm, mhm.
bike riding. We love to put our bikes in the back of the truck and just go into town and ride around. So any of those like beautiful activity, go for a hike. There's a couple of really nice
Great
trails around us too. Those are
activities.
really, really great. Um, time wasters to go on those.
But
The
they're
hike.
also everything that you said was very active and connected to nature on a lot of levels, which I
Yeah,
think is
which
really
I
important,
love.
right? So
Yeah.
the more we think about the ways that in which we live a healthier life, right? You didn't
Hmm.
say like, oh, I'm gonna get on my phone and scroll through TikTok for like an hour and a half.
Oh no, I haven't even picked up my phone yet.
Yay!
I realized that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I haven't even picked up my phone. But honestly, I might not. If we're
Yeah,
doing something like that, I might be disconnected for the day.
great,
Um, we also like to pack a picnic,
great.
and do like a little charcuterie style lunch.
Mhm.
Um, so that's definitely part of a perfect day. And yeah, then we might come back home. Maybe that's when we kind of do our own thing for a little while. I might read, I might check my phone. My husband might do the same. And then we're big sunset watchers. So we probably would head back down to the lake, watch the sunset.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
And then do you cook dinner?
we do. We cook
Okay,
almost
so you're
every
big
night
into
together.
food.
Yeah, we
Great.
eat out probably. We have it in the calendar. We like to
Mhm.
schedule it
Yeah.
because my husband Dave has also lost 30 pounds since I started this program. So we're both, been very successful. And he's a big Peloton rider. So he loves to cycle on that. And
Yeah, you guys
I'm not
lost
as
like a
much.
sixth grader, together. You
We did. That's funny. But
And
yeah,
then
so we
do
would
you eat
cook.
dinner? Are you a wine drinker? Are you like what indulgences would
No,
there be?
I'm not a big drinker anymore. That I don't avoid it by any means.
Yeah,
I'll have, but to be honest with you, I kind of got sober curious about 2 years ago. And I would say I drink probably 3 times a year.
yeah,
It's
right.
just,
Okay, so that's not a thing.
yeah, most
Um,
of these activities are pretty sober. And, once in a while I will have a couple glasses of wine, but
okay. Well, so what I'm hearing, right, and I'm just going to feed this back to you because I want
yeah,
us to be able to action on it, right? Is the most important part of your day is this morning time. Okay.
yeah.
Your morning time needs to be no snooze, right? And that's just an old habit that may have reared its little whack-a-mole head, right? Where you had it and we forgot about the connection and how beautiful that morning time is, but we just verbalized it. So for anybody listening, you'll see I plant a lot of open-ended questions and I ask my participant to speak to me because she's learning while she's talking. Okay, she's learning off. So she's not going to learn anything by me telling her what to do and me saying, but you should do this and you should do that. It's filled with guilt and shame, and it will never fit Jen's life. So instead, I'm eliciting what is it that works, right? And whenever you speak it out, and what you just told me, and I'm just going to tell you what you told me, is the morning is magical for you, and the no snoozing meditating immediately, right? Going into the journaling right after that, maybe then getting outside for 15 minutes, that routine would set you up in a mindset that would allow you to then eat your healthy breakfast, have a beautiful lunch, have dinner, right? And probably do much less snacking or anything like that, because that mean girl would have been shut off. It's why I exercise first thing in the morning, right? It's like an off switch for the mean girl. If the mean girl's turned off, I'm good. Like, I don't snack. I don't need a glass of wine. I don't need, because I'm not exhausted mentally and emotionally from this barrage of like how I'm not good enough all day, you know?
Yeah.
So you would be proud of yourself to do that that system. So I think our biggest challenge, right? So we've set out, and this is what I always try to do on these calls, and
Mhm.
is really to set out a real solid plan. So this is for the coming week of your life. This is not for the rest of your life, right? That's again where I'm very, very specific, is we're not going to say for the rest of my life I'm doing X, Y, and Z. No, we're trying to get you to 2 pounds below your lowest weight. Okay. So whatever we need to do that, right, is we need to get this morning time thing situated. We need to get your head in that spot of believing that you can get out of this space that you're in, and that you deserve to continue, and that you are totally capable of it. Right? You laid out you know exactly what to do to turn the mean girl down. You have the exact daily plan around what it looks like for you to have a healthy day, that would, the behaviors that would result in weight loss.
Yeah.
It's just normal that all of us sometimes move away from those behaviors over time, and that's fine. But now
Well,
it's time to
yeah,
get back in.
I agree with you. And another thing I think I do, and this is kind of where I always think about when you help me with just upping my steps, I want it all. So it's like, oh no, you don't need to do that. Like it's okay to just beat your steps from last week.
Yes.
Like it's okay because it's just going to be progress over time. And I get in the mindset of like, oh no, I need to do it all to get a result. And it tends to fail. I shouldn't say it always fails, but
Yeah, no, but
it
that's why
doesn't
we have
stick. That's
that's why we're unlearning all this, right? Is that like in the past, if you did a diet, like one day you're doing everything, like just eating whatever you want, doing whatever you want, and then next day you're doing all of these rigid rules and things like that. And all of that past diet mentality is still in you. It's still in me.
right.
So you want to jump to all or nothing, right? And that all or nothing
Yes.
thinking, over time we break it down and we start to fall in love with, and I hear it in your voice when you talk about the steps, you start to fall in love with the baby steps. They're
You do.
wonderful. They feel so good, and you can
Yes.
achieve it. It's like I'm asking you to, like, it's going to be a challenge not to snooze, probably, just if it's a
Yeah.
habit and you're half asleep. But I'd put that alarm clock across the room if possible. Like, I would just make it like, okay, I'm going to trigger it before I go to bed tonight, that this is my, what I'm going to do. And we've laid out very good guidelines, right? Like, of what we want. And I've got it here for you. So, I just want to see how this sets up the next week of your life, because the small behaviors that are standing in the way of you taking down these next 2 pounds. And when we think about 2 pounds, it feels very doable, right?
It does.
Yeah. All I want you to do is see a new low on the scale. Because when you see that and you associate it with these behaviors become very, and you're like, wait, that wasn't hard at all. Just sort of like when we
Yeah.
started Target 100, your journey, and you're like, wait, how am I losing weight and I'm not hating my life? You know?
Right. Right.
So does that feel doable for you? Like,
Yeah, it absolutely does. It feels absolutely doable. I've been, this is kind of my push to start the morning off how I've envisioned it and how I've done it in the past. So yeah, I think it's going to be great.
I love it. Well, I took a bunch of notes for you.
Perfect.
And I'm going to send them your way, right? I've got all my,
Yes, you
all my
always
notes.
send us our
I
notes.
always
I
send
love
you the
it.
notes. And what I want to know most of all is how this works for you, right?
Absolutely.
Can we journal through some of this? You're at a 50-pound weight loss mark. There's a lot that comes up.
Mm-hmm.
We protect ourselves with our weight. We shield ourselves from emotion with food. I just don't want you to be afraid of it when you're meditating. I had this wild experience of meditating with Deepak Chopra a few weeks ago. I was actually meditating,
Amazing.
like not like just like right there. He was leading the meditation, and like I could like reach out and touch him. And we sat for so long that at one point he said, you may be feeling some discomfort, some sensations of discomfort in your body from sitting in the same position. And he said, I want you to just sit there and I want you to breathe into that area. And I want you to start to notice how that sensation changes when you change your mindset around it. And it was mind blowing that my brain had decided that my leg was uncomfortable in that position. But when I breathed into it and I sat with it, and so I use that as a metaphor for my
Yeah.
emotion. It was such a huge breakthrough for me because I, like have shielded myself in the past from
Mm-hmm.
feeling things, but it's because I've decided that they're bad, that sadness or grief or anxiety or that those things are bad. But when I sit in them and I feel them and I go, oh, hi, friend. Oh, I feel anxious. That's okay. I wonder what it feels like. Let me be curious as to how that manifests in my body. And if I breathe into that anxiety, can I really see it in a different way? So I hope that's helpful,
That's
as you.
amazing. I would love to have a meditation session with Deepak.
It was mind blowing. It was such a glorious day. But I just
Oh,
want you to know that because this is deep stuff that we're dealing with.
it
Like
is.
this weight
It
loss
is.
is not for the faint of heart. When you take
No,
50
it's
pounds
not.
off and keep it off, it's big.
Do you think that something like what you just explained with your the meditation with Deepak, um, when you have something like comfort eating coming up for because of past trauma,
Mhm.
and it's stuff that I remember, it was
Yeah.
in a previous relationship
Yeah.
many, many years ago, and it occurred to me probably about a month ago in our program here. It was on one of our team calls. I thought, oh my gosh, that's what it is. At night, it's like I kind of flashed back to a time in my life where food was actually my boyfriend
Yes.
and not the actual person anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was it was a really um sad time in my life. It was a tough relationship, a lot of unfortunate events going on, really not mutual respect,
Mhm.
a lot of shaming,
Mhm.
and just verbal abuse. So I'm just asking, like, how can I disconnect myself from that time? Because it's coming up for me a lot, to be honest
Yeah,
with you. It's
that
just
makes
one of
a
the
lot of sense.
things.
Yeah, so we store past trauma in our bodies, right? So and as we lose weight, we often get to a spot where that past trauma has been stored. And now the body's trying to let go of this area of the body that we've stored it in, so it wakes it up almost, okay? I
Right.
think things for you, things like breath work, if you've ever done David's breath work,
I have. It's
right
amazing.
now that would be, I can give you the name of another person. You can do a recording of David's breath work. In the subscription we have,
We
recordings.
have one. Yes, we have one right now. I actually was put it on my calendar to do this weekend.
I would say that for me, that would be the top recommendation I have right now, because the other thing is that um, the association with this trauma is very negative, and because it was a very negative experience in the moment, and yet all I can see from my perspective is how beautiful that you came through that, And I don't know if you've ever thanked that woman that you were for, we want to look at that time with food, with our weight and with our bodies with shame. And I go, you were really smart. You know, you found something that made you be able to get through something really, really difficult. And instead of being upset or shamed about it, I don't know if it can help you to kind of really love that woman. I had an experience one time when I did breath work where, and I've had a difficult childhood, and some trauma there, and I found myself sitting on a park bench with my 7-year-old self, chatting with her, and I thanked her, and we cried together. And I know it sounds so woo-woo, but it was so healing to, instead of carrying all of that around, to just love myself so much for getting myself through that, however I did it, whether it was with food or with, like, a boyfriend of an ice cream. You did something amazing. And so I hope that somewhere in there you can love her for finding a way through that and coming out this other side into a relationship that sounds so loving, and be so proud, right, of where you are. I don't know if that's helpful, but
Oh, so helpful. And I could just bawl. Choking it back right now.
it's
Because
so
yeah,
beautiful.
it's exactly what I need to do, is just go back and love her.
Love her in every moment, that was
Mhm.
not you. That was, you were there, doing the very best you could. And that's why I always say, like, we didn't, we this thing, this the weight thing, sometimes. And I would talk to a lot of women who have had a lot of trauma, and it's often that we borrow on food and this protection that we can get from carrying extra weight. I've talked to women about having relationships like that one, where they used the food so that they were not attractive to that person anymore, or they could just check out, of that relationship altogether. And I
I
always
get
say, like,
that.
how smart you were.
Yeah.
And so releasing any shame around that time would be, breath work, journaling, meditation, and then saying, like, oh, I really understand why maybe this little plateau here at 50 pounds came up, and now I want to deal with that so that I can take these steps forward. And it's so funny, these calls, we always end up where we need to be. Like, I think, like, this meditation, this journaling, this breath work, as you work to heal some of those little wounds that have been sort of held closed by the food or the weight.
Yeah,
So,
fully agree. This is exactly what I needed to hear tonight, and just what I needed to hear to move forward. Yeah.
well, I just adore you, and I think you're
I
so
adore you.
brave. Thank you for sharing with
Thank
us.
you.
And please, you and I you'll get my notes, and we will just go back and
Yep.
forth. I'm here to keep you accountable because I really care about this process for you and
I
for
know you do.
everyone in this whole world. I just hope to heal that mental, physical, and emotional pain that we carry, that is this weight. And it isn't just about food. It's about so much
At
more.
all. Right. I know. And that's what we're learning.
Yeah,
I'm almost a year in, and I'm like, wow, it's mind blowing, to be honest
it's
with you.
mind blowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope that, people who are watching and decide to take this journey, we don't start there in the beginner's course,
Oh
right?
no.
Like,
No.
we have to start, like, a little higher level, and then we just bring you into this deeper level, over time, because this would be too much,
Yes.
right?
Oh my
Like, for someone
goodness.
to handle in week one. but
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
now you are so ready to face these things. And you know I think everything that we teach in Target 100, and everything we've talked about tonight, is about silencing the negativity, the shame, the guilt, that those are all these kind of pieces that we thought were real, right? We thought that they were
Right.
truth. And we heard them and we thought, like, oh, I got to believe those things. And I'm telling you, they're all wrong. And I gave you a whole other perspective, right, on what happened to you in your life. And you're like, whoa, there's this whole other side of the mountain. I'm on like the shady side over here, and there's this
Right.
side of the mountain where someone sees everything completely differently than I am seeing it in my own head, right? Because we are filled with these mean girls and these old thought patterns. And I try to always teach you that that's just habit. Those are just habit patterns of how you're
Sure.
relating to that time or how you're thinking, because 80% of the thoughts we've had already. So
Hmm.
even when you're thinking about that time, that difficult trauma time, I guarantee you you're looping through the same thoughts over and over and over about it.
That makes perfect sense. I can tell
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and that's just
It's,
the brain just
yeah,
going loop, 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 loop. It's easier for me to loop, 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 loop than it is for me to think something like Liz just said. Because if I think that way, who am I? Right?
right.
Like,
Don't bring
and
love into this.
don't tell me I'm awesome and that I did really great. Don't you dare tell me I'm
Right.
bad. Tell me I did everything wrong. Tell me it was all my fault. Tell me
Hmm.
that's where we've gotten comfortable. And I'm going, no, oh my God, you are a rock star. You did everything to get yourself out of there. And you made some amazing choices, and all of it's good. So we're switching perspective here at Target 100 all the time, because there's always a lighter side of what it is. But when we're alone, and I think that's why we do so much community work, is when we're alone,
Yeah.
that dark side will take over. But you
Yeah. And the
outlined
dark
it.
side has stories and they
Oh,
have a whole movie going on.
yep, yep. The whole, and then they want to relate it to what's happening in your life now, and it wants to say it's all going to happen again. And we drag the past into the future,
Oh,
and then we
yes.
project the story that's all going to, the sky is falling. So meditation, and why I think we ended up where we did, is meditation says there is no past, and there isn't, right? Everything that you experience,
Right.
it's gone. The only moment we have is this one right now. Like
Right
you and
now.
I together in this one is all that exists. There is no future. And every time that brain wants to write a story, it's just a story. And so if you can constantly, so your meditation practice that you've seen, it pulls you back into this. And then all day long, as you hear the story, you can like grab the story and go like, no, I'm right here in my kitchen and I'm fine, and
Right.
everything's good and I'm good. So I think we've got the right outcome for you right now. And just let me know how it's going.
I will. Absolutely. It feels good. I'm super excited to set my alarm when we get off this call and no snoozing.
Yay, no snoozing. I've got a little list for you, and let me know how it's going. And
Okay.
thank you for doing this with me tonight.
You are so welcome. I'm super happy to share with everybody, and hopefully, whoever's listening got what they needed out of it too, some kind of message. I know I always get so much out of our community, and when anybody shares anything, it really resonates in some way.
I totally agree. All right. Well, have a beautiful night.
You too. Thanks, Liz. We'll see you
Thank you.
later.
Bye.
Bye.